If you're over 50 and you've been told that slowing down, stiff joints, weak knees, or daily aches are just a normal part of aging, I want you to pause for a moment, because that belief alone may be aging you faster than your body ever intended. Right now, somewhere in Japan, there are men and women in their 70s, 80s, even 90s who wake up each morning, move their bodies with calm confidence, sit on the floor without pain, stand back up without help, and walk through their day without fear of falling. They are not elite athletes. They are not spending hours in gyms, and most importantly, they are not pushing their bodies to exhaustion. Instead, they rely on a handful of simple, deliberate movements they've practiced daily for decades. Movements so gentle that many people dismiss them, yet so powerful that they preserve strength, balance, circulation, and independence well into old age. The real question is not whether these movements work. The question is why most of the world stops doing them, and what happens to the body when we do. Today, I want to take you deep into the daily movement habits of Japanese elders and show you 6 specific movements they practice regularly, why these movements protect the aging body, how they work on muscles and joints you may not even realize you're neglecting, and how you can begin doing them safely right at home starting today. To understand why these movements matter so much, we need to take a step back and look at how the human body was designed to age. Aging itself is not the enemy. Loss of movement is. In Japan, there is a strong cultural understanding that the body adapts to what you ask of it. When you stop squatting, your hips forget how to bend. When you stop reaching overhead, your shoulders lose their range. When you stop balancing on one leg, your nervous system forgets how to stabilize you. Over time, these losses don't show up as dramatic injuries at first. They show up quietly. A little stiffness in the morning, a hesitation before stepping off a curb, needing your hands to push yourself out of a chair. Many people assume these are unavoidable signs of getting older, but Japanese elders see them as signals to move more, not less. Their daily movements are not about exercise in the Western sense. They're about maintaining the basic human abilities that allow a person to live independently. One of the most striking differences between aging populations in Japan and many other countries is the relationship with the floor. Japanese homes traditionally involve sitting, kneeling, and rising from the floor multiple times a day. Even as furniture has become more common, many elders continue this habit. Why does this matter so much? Because the ability to get down to the floor and back up again is one of the strongest predictors of longevity we know. It requires leg strength, hip mobility, core stability, balance, and coordination. When those systems stay active, the body remains resilient. When they disappear, falls become more likely, and recovery becomes slower. The movements we'll discuss today are deeply connected to this idea of full body capability rather than isolated muscle strength. The first movement Japanese elders naturally practice every day is controlled squatting, often without even thinking of it as exercise. In many cultures, squatting is something you stop doing after childhood. Chairs replace the squat, and over time the hips and knees stiffen. But in Japan, elders often squat to tend gardens, reach low shelves, prepare food, or simply rest. This isn't the deep, forced squat you might see in a gym. It's a relaxed, natural lowering of the body with the heels grounded and the spine upright. This movement preserves knee health by strengthening the muscles that support the joint rather than compressing it. It keeps the hips mobile, preventing the tightness that leads to back pain. It also trains the ankles, which play a crucial role in balance. When you stop squatting, you don't just lose leg strength, you lose the body's ability to absorb force. That's why a simple misstep can feel catastrophic later in life. When you begin reintroducing this movement, the goal is not depth, but control. Even a partial squat, where you lower yourself a few inches and return to standing, can be transformative when done daily. Japanese elders understand that consistency beats intensity. They may squat dozens of times a day without strain because it's woven into their lifestyle. Over time, the body adapts and the movement becomes effortless again.
What's important to remember is that the squat is not about pushing through pain. It's about reminding the body how to move as one unit, distributing load evenly instead of stressing a single joint. Closely connected to squatting is the second daily movement, deliberate rising and lowering from the floor using minimal hand support. This movement may sound intimidating if you haven't done it in years, but it's one of the most powerful tools for preserving independence. Japanese elders often sit on tatami mats or low cushions, requiring them to lower themselves with control and stand back up smoothly. This action trains eccentric strength, which is the ability of muscles to control descent. Eccentric strength is critical for preventing falls because it allows you to slow yourself down rather than collapsing. It also strengthens the deep stabilizing muscles around the hips and spine, which protect the lower back. What makes this movement so effective is that it challenges multiple systems at once. Your legs generate power, your core stabilizes your torso, your brain coordinates balance. When any one of these systems weakens, the movement becomes harder, and that difficulty becomes a signal rather than a failure. Japanese elders respond to that signal by practicing the movement more, not less. Over time, their bodies remain capable of adapting to unexpected situations, such as uneven ground or sudden shifts in weight. The third movement may surprise you because it looks almost too simple to matter. Gentle spinal rotations performed slowly and intentionally. In Japanese culture, morning mobility routines often include twisting the torso side to side while standing or seated. These rotations keep the spine flexible and nourish the discs by encouraging fluid exchange. A stiff spine doesn't just limit movement, it affects breathing, posture, and even digestion. When the torso rotates freely, the ribcage expands more fully, allowing deeper breaths. This improved breathing supports circulation and oxygen delivery throughout the body. Many people over 50 unknowingly limit spinal rotation because of fear of injury or past discomfort, but stiffness often creates more risk than controlled movement. Japanese elders rotate within a comfortable range, never forcing the motion. The emphasis is on smoothness and awareness rather than speed. Over time, this gentle twisting maintains the spine's natural curves and prevents the rigid posture that contributes to chronic pain. It also keeps the nervous system responsive, improving coordination and reaction time. The fourth movement centers on the hips, an area that plays a decisive role in aging well. Japanese elders frequently perform hip-opening movements while seated or standing, often as part of daily activities like putting on shoes or tidying the home. The hips are the gateway between the upper and lower body. When they become stiff, the knees and lower back are forced to compensate. Gentle hip circles and side-to-side shifts keep the joint lubricated and the surrounding muscles balanced. This reduces strain during walking and standing. Healthy hips also support balance. Many falls occur not because of weak legs, but because the hips cannot adjust quickly to changes in terrain. By maintaining hip mobility, Japanese elders preserve their ability to make small corrective movements without thinking. This automatic stability is what allows them to walk confidently even on uneven surfaces. When you begin reintroducing this movement, the goal is not range, but comfort and rhythm. Even small circles performed daily can restore lost motion over time. The fifth movement is quiet but profoundly important, standing on one leg, often while holding on to something lightly or not at all. In Japan, balance training is often integrated into daily routines rather than set aside as formal exercise. Elders may stand on one leg while brushing their teeth or waiting for water to boil. This simple act strengthens the muscles of the feet, ankles, and hips while sharpening the brain's ability to process balance information. Balance is not just physical, it's neurological. The more you challenge it gently, the sharper it becomes. What makes single-leg standing so powerful is that it reveals weaknesses before they turn into problems. A slight wobble is not a failure, it's feedback. Japanese elders respect this feedback and respond with patience rather than frustration. Over time, the wobble diminishes, confidence increases, and the fear of falling fades. This confidence changes how a person moves throughout the day, reducing cautious stiffness that actually increases fall risk. The sixth movement brings everything together, mindful walking with attention to posture, stride, and breath. Walking in Japan is often purposeful and upright, even among the elderly. Rather than shuffling, elders are encouraged to lift their feet, swing their arms naturally, and keep their gaze forward. This style of walking engages the entire body, from the feet to the shoulders. It promotes circulation, joint health, and cardiovascular fitness without stress. Mindful walking also reinforces the movements we've discussed. Each step becomes a mini balance exercise. Each stride maintains hip mobility. Each arm swing encourages spinal rotation. Over time, walking becomes a moving meditation that supports both physical and mental health. Japanese elders often walk daily not for distance or speed, but for continuity. The body thrives on regular input, and walking provides it in the most natural form possible. As you can see, none of these movements are extreme. None require equipment or special training. Their power lies in their simplicity and consistency. The reason they work so well for Japanese elders.
When people first hear about these movements, a common reaction is curiosity mixed with doubt. They may think, "This sounds good, but my body isn't like that anymore." Or, "I've tried gentle movements before and they didn't change much." This is where understanding how the aging body actually responds to consistent input becomes critical. Muscles, joints, tendons, and even the nervous system do not suddenly stop adapting after 50 or 60. What changes is the signal they receive. Long periods of sitting, limited movement patterns, and fear-based avoidance send a powerful message to the body that certain ranges and abilities are no longer needed. The body responds efficiently by reducing capacity in those areas. Japanese elders send the opposite message every day. Through repeated, calm movement, they tell their bodies that strength, balance, and mobility are still required. The body responds by preserving them. One of the most overlooked aspects of these daily movements is how they influence joint health at a cellular level. Joints do not receive direct blood supply in the same way muscles do. They rely on movement to circulate synovial fluid, which nourishes cartilage and removes waste. When movement becomes limited, joints stiffen not because they are worn out, but because they are underused. Gentle squatting, rising from the floor, and hip mobility movements bathe the joints in fresh fluid. Over time, this improves comfort and range of motion. This is why Japanese elders often report less joint pain despite being active throughout their lives. Their joints are used regularly, but never abused. Another key factor is how these movements retrain posture. Modern lifestyles encourage a forward-leaning posture with rounded shoulders and a flexed spine. This posture compresses the chest, restricts breathing, and shifts the center of gravity forward, increasing fall risk. The daily movements practiced by Japanese elders naturally counteract this. Squatting with an upright torso strengthens the muscles that support spinal alignment. Rising from the floor requires coordinated extension through the hips and spine. Spinal rotations restore mobility between vertebrae, allowing the body to stack itself efficiently. Over time, posture improves without conscious effort. Better posture means less strain on the neck and back, improved balance, and more efficient movement overall. Fear plays a powerful role in how people move as they age. After a fall or an episode of pain, many individuals become cautious, limiting their movement to avoid discomfort. While understandable, this reaction often accelerates decline. Japanese elders are taught to respect pain signals without allowing fear to dictate behavior. Discomfort is approached with curiosity rather than panic. Is this stiffness, fatigue, or true pain? Movements are adjusted rather than eliminated. This mindset allows the body to remain adaptable. When you reintroduce these movements, it's important to adopt the same approach. Move slowly, breathe steadily, stay within a comfortable range. Over time, the nervous system learns that movement is safe again. Let's talk more deeply about how to integrate these movements into a Western lifestyle where sitting is dominant. You don't need to overhaul your entire day. Small changes accumulate quickly.
For example, instead of sitting down fully when picking something up, lower into a partial squat. When watching television, stand up and sit down slowly a few times during commercial breaks. When getting out of bed, take an extra moment to roll to your side and use your legs rather than pushing with your arms. These micro practices reinforce the same patterns Japanese elders maintain naturally. The key is frequency, not duration. Breathing deserves special attention here because it connects movement to the nervous system. Many people over 50 breathe shallowly without realizing it. Shallow breathing keeps the body in a state of low-level tension, making movement feel harder and less stable. Japanese movement traditions emphasize calm nasal breathing that expands the lower ribs and abdomen. When you squat, rise, or rotate while breathing slowly, you send a signal of safety to the nervous system. Muscles relax, coordination improves, and balance becomes more reliable. Over time, this breathing pattern carries over into daily life, reducing stress and improving energy levels. Another reason these movements are so effective is that they train the body in multiple planes of motion. Modern exercise routines often focus on forward and backward movements, such as walking or cycling. While beneficial, these activities neglect side-to-side and rotational motions that are essential for real-world stability. Japanese elders maintain these abilities through twisting, shifting weight, and standing on one leg. This multi-directional movement keeps connective tissue resilient and responsive. When you can move confidently in all directions, everyday tasks like reaching, turning, or stepping sideways become safer and easier.